Okay, let's look at scatterplots, including explanatory and response variables and direction, form, and strength. Suppose you were to collect data for each of the variables. You want to make a scatterplot. Which variable would you use as the explanatory variable and which would you use as the response variable? Why? What would you expect to see in the scatterplot? Discuss the likely direction, form, and strength. So first let's look at t-shirts being sold at a store, the price each, and the number sold. So the price would be the explanatory variable. That would be the independent variable, and that would be on the x-axis. The number sold would be the response variable. So that would be the dependent variable. That would be on the y-axis, because the number sold would depend on the price. The higher the price, the fewer sold. The lower the price, the more sold. We would expect the relationship to be negative, meaning going down, right? The higher the price, the fewer sold. Pretty straight and moderate. Okay, let's look at scuba diving, depth, and water pressure. The depth would be explanatory. That would be the independent variable because the pressure, which would be the dependent variable on the y-axis, would depend on the depth, the independent variable. Okay, this would be positive, right? The deeper you go, the greater the water pressure. Be straight, and there'd be a strong correlation. Okay, so we're still looking at scuba diving, depth and visibility, right? The depth would be explanatory. That would be the independent variable. Visibility would be the response. That would be the dependent variable because visibility would depend on depth. We would expect that to be negative, right? The deeper you go, the less visibility you have, straight and strong. Now let's look at the last one. It's kind of interesting. All, and that's important, all elementary school students, meaning first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth grades, weight and score on a reading test. Well, at first you wouldn't think weight would have anything to do with how students score on a test, but if you look at elementary school students, the more they weigh would most likely mean the older they are and the higher grade they would be. The higher weights would be more like fifth and sixth grade. Lower rates might be first and second grade. So we would expect that the older grades and the higher weights would score better on the reading test. So the weight would be the explanatory. That would be the independent variable on the x-axis. The score would be the dependent variable on the y-axis. We would expect it to be positive, straight, and moderate.